Hi, my name is Harry. My amateur radio call is Kilo Echo 6 Romeo Juliet. This romantic South Pacific adventure took place in the spring, or started in the spring of 1982, and we returned in the fall of 1983. This will be a three-part video. This will be part 1, and will cover from San Francisco to the Marquesas Islands. These two books, one by Earl Hines, and the other one by Helen Margaret Roth, whom we had as guests in Papeete, Tahiti, were our great inspirations of this trip. Our friend John KE6RJ gave us an escort out of the bay when we left, and also met us outside the gate when we returned a year and a half later. Wind tree is 31 feet, shoal draft, twin keel, built in England, Plymouth, in the 1970s. One of the benefits for being twin-keeled is it helps for instability, and of course one can beach it to do the bottom on the hard. Here we're sailing wing and wing in the trades. Looking forward from the cockpit, those are Lexan doors. This shows me down below our radio station, amateur radio station, as well as me charting our positions, as well as making a weather chart. Before a squall on the horizon is approaching, it is time to reef and be safe. And what looks like a squall is a squall, and I'm sure glad we reefed. Another squall on the horizon, time to reef. Most of the times, however, it is nothing but glorious sailing. And here Nancy is taking a picture of me looking forward. When running, we always used a preventer. As long as those waves are not breaking, we are okay. At night we took 2-hour watches, 2 hours on, 2 hours off. We were always dragging a line, hoping to catch a fish, with a lure of course. During Nancy's 2-hour watches, she would be baking bread in our pressure cooker on the kerosene stove, which was a challenge by itself, many flare-ups. And in the morning we'd be collecting flying fish that committed suicide on our deck, and we had fried fish for breakfast very often. These are pretty good-sized waves. Of course, on a small sailboat near the water level, you rise and fall with each one of the sets. Thanks to our mast steps, it was easy to go aloft, inspect the rigging, and of course capture the moment with the camera. Here our running sails are pulled out. We're doing hull speed about 6 knots, downwind. Naturally, we didn't have running water. Our running water was the ocean. Here Nancy is seen taking a bucket shower. Nancy on the lookout with her eagle eyes. And Nancy found the Marquesas Islands. Hiva Oa, here we come. Our first crossing from San Diego to the Marquesas Islands. 37 days, 3,000 miles, with 8 days spent in the doldrums. Here we are running wing and wing in the trades, taking a sextant sight. In the doldrums, we spent many days, about 800 miles of variable winds. In the doldrums, near the equator, no wind for many days, and we were wondering, will we ever get there? There's always an undulating motion which makes it necessary to lower the sails, and then as soon as there's any kind of puff, then to capture it and raise the sails again. Picture our surprise when in the doldrums we found another yacht, the Novema. After enjoying the Marquesas Islands, we had sailed on to the Tuamotus Archipelago, which are the low-lying danger atolls. Here we are tied to the dock. There's only one other yacht at the atoll, Takaroa Atoll, in the Tuamotus. This native here came into our companionway or into our cockpit and wanted to trade her pearls for Nancy's sewing machine. Then we headed into the lagoon, and there, to our great surprise, met on our walk 2 Mormon missionaries.
The Polynesians.
We had a deadline, July 14, Papeete, Tahiti, in the French Polynesian island chain. We wanted to see the festivities, 2 weeks of dancing, singing, non-stop. This is the music, and of course dancing, that we so much enjoyed and we're looking forward to. This has to be experienced. 2 weeks of non-stop dancing, canoe races, competition, singing and dancing can only be experienced in person. Here we are tied to the quay in Papeete in front of the post office, within a short walking distance to the downtown and the market, next to the Marinka with Stan and Karen and of course the kids aboard. From Papeete, it was only a day sail over to Moorea, one of the most beautiful islands in the world. We spent several months in the Society Islands of Tahiti, Moorea, Ta'a, and Bora Bora, Raiatea, and enjoyed anchoring and of course also the companionship of many other yachties of many nationalities, and here also a walk on our motu. This is our first YouTube video of 3 segments, or part 1, part 2, part 3. This is part 1. We are sailing, of course, on to Fiji in part 2, and then New Zealand, part 3, from New Zealand, returning to the San Francisco Bay Area. Well, after our return, we got married. We met via ham radio and married via ham radio CW at their Sea Beach Yacht Club in their radio room. CW, of course, is Morse code. And 30 years later, we are still using ham radio as our hobby. Nancy is still baking bread, but no longer in a pressure cooker. Our next segment, part 2, hopefully soon. Thanks for watching.